Hey Moonbeams, and welcome back to my YouTube channel, where today I'm going to be teaching you another tutorial within Canva Pro, and I'm going to be teaching you how to remove the background from your images. So let's dive right on in. Okay, so now that we're in Canva, this is the dashboard, and so to remove a background image, step one is to create the design. So the first thing you want to do is come over to the right hand side and just click custom size. And for now, let's just work with a document size of 600 by 1500 pixels. So top tip, when you're doing imagery, you want to use pixels because it's optimized for web, and then millimeters, etc. for print. So just a little tip there. And then once you've got your measurements in, you can press create new design. And then what that will do is bring up this new artboard, which we can then move on to step two, which is choosing an image. Now, I've already uploaded all my brand photography in my folders, so I can just go ahead and scroll down to the image that we're working with, which is this image here. So just as another top tip is when you're choosing imagery, make sure that the image has good lighting and that no arms or heads are cut off, because say for example my arm was sort of cut off and the original photo was like that. When it cuts out the image, it makes it look like my arm is missing, and it just doesn't look very nice in design. So always recommend, if you're going to plan on cutting out images in Canva and you're getting some brand photography done, then always bear that in mind. So before we do that, so what we've done, we've chosen our image. So moving on to step three, which is cropping the image in. So before we remove the background, we basically want to remove all this outer space. So as you can see on this photo, there's like some foliage, there's like a screen, and we just don't need it, because what that does, if we don't do this step, it means we've got to do a lot more touch-ups later, and it kind of throws the outer frame out. So when you apply other filters, it kind of skews it. So for now, as you can see around this photo, I'm just going to zoom in a little bit so you can see. We have these little kind of little anchor points, these little kind of adjustables. And so what we're going to do, if we were to press the top left one, that just moves the size in ratio. We actually want to move the bigger ones on the left and right, top and bottom. So as you can see, it highlights from white to purple. So when it's purple, it means it's engaged. And we just simply drag and hold, and we want to get it as close to me as the kind of focal point. And the same for the top. Bring it in about there. And the same goes here. So once I'm kind of happy with the cropping, it's then now to apply the background remove filter. So once we've kind of got that ready, once you're clicked on the image, you will see at the top of the nav there is a button called edit image. Now that only appears when you're on an element. So when I click off it, it disappears. But when I click back onto the image, it reappears. So we're going to click edit image. Now, this is quite a regular tool that I use, so it will appear at the top here. But for now, you can find it pretty much just above the adjustables. Sometimes if you're new to Canva, you may need to scroll down and basically add it to your library. But if you're a Canva Pro member, it should be very easy to access. And it's always the icon with a beach ball. So that's the way to remember it. And you literally simply click it once, and it will do its thing. You can see the little kind of timer wheel, and literally within seconds the background has been removed. Now, me as a brand designer, I can't explain how incredible that is to have as a tool that does it so quickly. So most graphic and brand designers are very familiar with Photoshop, and that's how we normally kind of cut out backgrounds using the pen tool and masking, and that can take a good fair few minutes, if not more. So the fact that you can do this in a click of a button, it just blows my mind. So that's why I absolutely love Canva. Anyway, as you can see, this has done a fantastic job of cutting out the background. And to be honest, I can't see much touch-ups needed. However, if you do need to touch up, you will see on the left hand side there is a button called erase and restore. Now erase basically gets rid of things. So say for example there was like a white background and my shirt kind of got blended in, I could erase that out, whereas restore brings things back. So for example, if my hair color was the same as the background, I could restore it back in. Now I'm going to go and do a demonstration of how, say for example, you had a photo that was very similar to the background, and I'm going to show you how to erase and restore. But for now, I just want to give you another tip of what you can do next with your cutout image. So because we've done this, we kind of just want to like do it once and not have to keep redoing it. So what I would go ahead and do is, once I've got my image, I could then now download it as a PNG, which you go up to here and press share. And then you'll see down here it says download. You click it once and it's already suggested PNG. Obviously there's different ones here, but because we've taken away the background, that's what a PNG does. It's a transparent background. So once we've clicked it, we also want to make sure we've ticked transparent background. We don't need to worry about compressing the file because we want the quality to be as high as possible. And then we can literally go ahead and press download. Now that will take a few seconds. As you can see, it's ticking over here. And that image will end up in my downloads folder, which should be the same across Mac and Windows users. So now that it's in my downloads, I can then re-upload this image to my folder. So as I'm already in the software, I could literally drag and drop it in, and then it will appear at the very top in my photography folder. So just to give you an example of that, if I was to create another one and then give it a colored background and then go back to the image I just uploaded, automatically it's done. I don't need to keep pressing that background remover tool. So that's just a handy little top tip. Now, I mentioned earlier that I wanted to teach you how to erase and restore parts of the photo if, for example, the hair color is very similar to the background. So I'm just going to demonstrate that now. So one of the photos I'm using is one of my clients. So she is basically a children's entertainer, and she dresses up as Disney characters such as Elsa from Frozen. And as you can see in this particular photo, Elsa has a very icy blonde wig, and she's also wearing a blue dress, like an outfit, but the background also is blue and has white, which is very close to the hair. So I'm just going to demonstrate how the background remover could get a little bit confused. So same again, we press edit image, and then we press the filter background remover, and then you'll see in a moment it will do its thing. Sometimes it can take a bit longer because it can tell that it's having to work a bit harder.
A few moments later.
Okay, so straight away it's done a pretty good job, especially around the hair. You can see the top of the head. However, if you look in between, just underneath the hands, it hasn't erased the wallpaper very well. So as I say, the best thing to do is we're going to erase. So let's press erase. Now, top tip, you want to see what you're doing. So we need to zoom in a little bit. You've also got a brush size, and I would say this size here is a bit too big because we want to get into the nooks and crannies. So we just want to toggle that down a bit more, zoom in a little bit more. And the tip here is just to take your time. You know, you're just having to sort of be quite steady with it. It will take a few goes, so you know, don't worry too much. So if you do make a mistake, you can just literally press Command Z, or if you're on a Windows, it's Control Z, which undoes what the step you've just done. But as I say, it's a really great tool just to kind of get into those areas that haven't quite been recognised. So you know, as I say, just take your time with it. And then once it's done, you can literally do the same, you know, as last time. You can just export it as a PNG and then re-upload it, so you haven't got to keep doing this, especially if it's an image you use all the time. And then just tidy this a little bit up. Just going to bring my brush size down a little bit more as we're getting nearer to the arm part of the costume. And then once you're pretty much happy with it, you can just go ahead and press done. And then we have it. That is just an example of how to erase and restore. So I hope this tutorial has been helpful. Let me know how you get on. Leave me a comment down below. And if you are new to Canva, I will add a link down below where to sign up. And hope you have a great time designing.